Here's a story that sounds fake. A homeowner in Queens, New York, returns from a 2-week trip visiting his dying mother. He pulls into his driveway. There's a car he doesn't recognize. Lights are on. Someone's inside his house. He calls 911. Police arrive. And then, the twist you didn't see coming, the cops arrest him, the homeowner, for changing his own locks. The person inside, a stranger with a printed lease he found on the internet. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Nope. That's New York state law. Welcome to the upside-down world of squatters' rights, where breaking and entering is a crime, but staying is a legal strategy. Where trespassing becomes tenancy after a few magic days. And where the deed in your hand means less than the body in your bedroom. See, there used to be a clear line. Trespassing meant get out. Squatting meant you're under arrest. But that line, it's been blurred, bent, and bulldozed by tenant protection laws, eviction moratoriums, and court backlogs so catastrophic that criminals now have attorneys on speed dial, and homeowners are Googling, "Can I sell my house?" with someone living in it illegally. Spoiler, yes, but at a 40% loss. Today, we rate counting down the 5 states where squatters can legally steal your property, ranked from bad to legally insane. This isn't surface level. This is the stuff your real estate agent won't tell you. Your lawyer charges $500 an hour to explain, and the police shrug it while you cry in your own driveway. Squatters' rights are homeowners' wrongs. And trust me, you're not ready for what's next. Let's break it down. Number 5. Oregon. Portland, Oregon doesn't just protect tenants. It protects anyone who claims to be a tenant. And in Portland, the line between renter and random stranger who broke your window has become so blurred, even judges can't tell the difference. Oregon's eviction laws got rewritten during the pandemic. The state passed Senate Bill 182 and a series of emergency orders. That effectively turned every rental unit into a fortress for the renter. But here's the kicker. The definition of tenant in Oregon is dangerously loose. If someone can produce any documentation, a utility bill, a piece of mail, a handwritten note claiming they live here, they are suddenly protected under Oregon's Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. That's right, a sticky note that says I pay rent is legal weight in Portland. And because the courts are still digging out from the moratorium backlog, the average contested eviction in Multnomah County now takes 12 to 18 months. That's a year and a half of someone living rent-free in your investment property, while you pay the mortgage, insurance, and property taxes. Portland's eviction court processed over 4,100 cases in 2023 alone, but the backlog. Call the Portland Police Bureau about a squatter. Here's what you'll hear. It's a civil matter. Those 4 words are the legal equivalent of not our problem. Oregon law requires police to verify that someone is trespassing before they can act. But if the person inside claims residency even without proof, officers are instructed to step back and let the courts handle it. They won't enter. They won't remove. They'll hand you a pamphlet about tenant-landlord mediation and drive away. One officer, speaking anonymously to a local news outlet, said, "We hated to, but if we remove someone who claims tenancy, we get sued. The department gets sued. It's not worth the liability. So the law protects the thief. And you, the owner, are told to lawyer up." Portland has become a breeding ground for what insiders call professional tenants. These aren't desperate homeless individuals. These are calculated operators who target vacant homes, especially during the winter months when Oregon's anti-eviction rules get even stricter. They often work in pairs. One scouts properties looking for overgrown lawns, uncollected mail, real estate listings marked vacant. The other handles the entry. Within 48 hours, they've changed the locks, set up mail forwarding, and called the utility company to put the water bill in their name. Some carry laminated cards with Oregon tenant law bullet points. They know the statutes better than most landlords. They know that once they're inside, you can't touch them. And they know you'll eventually offer cash just to make them leave. According to a property manager I spoke to off the record, they dress nice. They speak calmly. They hand cops a fake lease and recite ORS 90.100 like it's the Pledge of Allegiance. The cops freeze, and suddenly, you're the outsider. Let's call him David. David inherited a small bungalow in northeast Portland after his aunt passed away in 2022. He lived out of state and planned to fix it up, sell it, and use the money for his daughter's college fund. He visited once, hired a contractor, and flew home. Big mistake. 3 weeks later, a neighbor texted him a photo. There were people on his porch. Strangers, smoking, laughing, living. David flew back immediately. When he arrived, the locks had been changed. His aunt's furniture still inside was gone. Sold on Facebook Marketplace, according to later posts he found. The squatters claimed they had a lease with a man named Steve who said he owned the house. No one named Steve existed. David called the police. Civil matter. He called the lawyer. That lawyer quoted him $15,000 just to start the eviction with a projected timeline of 14 months. He filed anyway. The squatters didn't show up to the first court date. Rescheduled. Didn't show to the second. rescheduled. By the time the judge issued a default judgment, it had been 11 months. And when the sheriff finally came to remove them, they'd already left taking the copper pipes with them. Total cost, $22,000 in legal fees, $35,000 in property damage, and 14 months of his life. His daughter deferred her enrollment. Most landlords in Portland never see the inside of a courtroom. Instead, they pay. It's called cash for keys. It's exactly what it sounds like, legal extortion. Squatters know the eviction timeline. They know you're bleeding money every month. So if they make an offer, give us $5,000, we leave next week. Otherwise, see you in court in 2026. And here's the insane part. Lawyers often recommend it. One landlord I spoke with said, I paid $8,500 to a woman who broke into my rental through the basement. My insurance didn't cover it. The cops didn't help. And my property manager said, just pay her or she's there until Christmas. That was March. In Oregon, if you break in and stay quiet for 30 days, you're no longer a criminal. You're a tenant, and you're a victim. They're your landlord now. Portland's eviction moratorium may have ended on paper, but the backlog it created will haunt property owners for years. Courts are overwhelmed. Cops are paralyzed. And the squatters, they've got calendars, not consciences. Oregon doesn't just let squatters stay. It gives them a welcome mat, a timeline, and legal armor. Squatters' rights aren't just homeowners' wrongs, here their state policy. Would you invest in Portland knowing you might lose your property to a laminated business card and a fake lease? Let me know in the comments. I'll read them while crying into my property tax bill. And if you thought Oregon was bad, wait until you see the next state where squatters can legally survive the winter in your home, and you can't touch them until spring. Number 4. Washington State, Seattle. Seattle has become the poster child for tenant-first lawmaking. But somewhere between protecting renters and letting strangers live in your house forever, the city forgot that property owners exist too. Washington State has some of the most squatter-friendly laws in the country, but Seattle takes it further. The city's just cause eviction ordinance requires landlords to prove one of 18 specific reasons before removing anyone claiming tenancy, not actual tenancy, claim tenancy. And here's the loophole that makes squatters salivate. Seattle Municipal Code 20.06, 160 includes provisions for winter eviction protections. Between November 1st and March 31st, landlords cannot evict anyone who claims financial hardship regardless of whether they've ever paid rent. Let me repeat that. If someone breaks into your home in October and says, I can't afford to leave, they are legally protected until April. The state also requires landlords to provide written notice periods ranging from 14 to 120 days, depending on the reason, and if you mess up any procedural step, you start over. Squatters study these timelines like they're preparing for the bar exam, because functionally, they are, according to data from the King County Superior Court. Eviction cases take an average of 8.4 months to resolve. But if the tenant or tenant contests, add another 4 to 6 months. That's over a year of occupation with zero payment and full legal protection. Seattle PD has effectively exited the squatter game entirely. Officers are trained to treat any occupancy dispute as, say it with me, a civil matter. But it's worse than that. In 2021, the Washington State Legislature passed House Bill 1236, which restricts when and how landlords can even begin eviction processes. Police now require a court order before taking any action, even if the homeowner has the deed in hand. One Seattle homeowner told King 5 News, I had the title, the mortgage, my driver's license matched the address, didn't matter. The officer told me, ma'am, until a judge tells me otherwise. Both of you have equal claim to that house. Equal claim. Her house, her mortgage, and some stranger with a printed PDF. The defund the police era in Seattle also created staffing shortages that persist today. Even with the court order, sheriff's deputies are booked 6 to 10 weeks out for physical removals. Squatters know this. They budget for it. Washington's professional squatters are disturbingly sophisticated. Many operate out of Facebook groups and encrypted Telegram channels where they share vacancy lists, legal scripts, and even attorney referrals. They target specific property types, estate sales, vacation homes, and houses listed as coming soon on Zillow. Once identified, they move fast. Entry is often through an unlocked window or a bump key. Within 72 hours, they've established residency, mail, utility accounts, even a notarized lease that they created themselves. Some carry burner phones loaded with photos of themselves living in the home, stage proof of tenancy they can show to police. One King County investigator described it as identity theater. They rehearse, he said. They know the questions cops ask. They know what documents to flash. By the time the owner shows up, it's already a standoff, and increasingly, they bring children. Because Washington courts are even more reluctant to remove families, especially during winter. Especially in Seattle, Meet the Nians, a retired couple who saved for 30 years to buy a vacation cabin near Snoqualmie. They used it 5 or 6 times a year, mostly in summer. In November 2022, they received a strange call from their neighbor. There are people in your cabin with a U-Haul. By the time they arrived, the locks were changed. The squatters, a man, a woman, and 2 teenagers, claimed they had rented the cabin from an online listing and paid first and last month's rent in Bitcoin. No such listing existed. No such payment was ever received. The Nians called the police. Civil matter. They called the lawyer. The lawyer explained the winter eviction ban and the just cause ordinance you can file. She said, but you won't get a hearing until January, and if they claim hardship, you won't remove them until April, maybe May. The Nians offered cash, $3,000 to leave. The squatters countered, $15. Zero. Or we'll claim emotional distress and add another 6 months. In the end, the Nians paid $10,000, signed a mutual release agreement standard in cash for keys deals, and received their cabin back in late March with $18,000 in damage, holes in the walls, stolen appliances, and a septic system that had been modified for unknown reasons. Total loss, over $30,000. Their retirement dream. Sold the cabin in 2024. It wasn't worth the stress. Seattle's rental market has made cash for keys nearly standard practice. Legal aid organizations meant to help struggling tenants now openly coach occupants on how to negotiate. One attorney I spoke with, who represents landlords, said, "We stopped calling it negotiation, it's ransom. The squatter knows the legal timeline better than my clients do. They calculate, if I hold out until March, that's 6 more months of free rent. Or you can pay me now. Average payout in King County, $7,000 to $20,000. Depending on property value, squatter sophistication, and how many months remain before the winter ban ends. Some squatters now demand written references, a letter saying they were great tenants as part of the deal. Why? So they can use it for the next property. This is a business. In Seattle, the law doesn't distinguish between a renter who fell behind and a stranger who broke your window. Both get the same protections. Both get the same timeline. Both get to stay while you hemorrhage cash. If you own property in Washington State, especially in King County, you're not a landlord. You're a hostage negotiator. And every winter, the balance of power shifts to whoever's standing inside your door. The law protects the thief, and if you try to protect yourself, you'll be the one facing charges. Still think property rights mean something? Wait until you see the next state where you can win your eviction case in court and still wait 8 months for anyone to show up. Number 3, Illinois, Chicago. In Chicago, the courts work. Kind of. You can file your eviction, hire a lawyer, win your case, get a judgment, and then wait, and wait, and wait. Because in Cook County, the sheriff's office is so backed up, your court victory might as well be a participation trophy. Illinois doesn't have the loose tenant laws in the country. On paper, the eviction process is relatively straightforward. File, serve, appear, win. The problem is what happens after you win once a judge issues an eviction order. It goes to the Cook County Sheriff's Office for enforcement, and that office, it's drowning. In 2023 alone, over 22,000 eviction orders were issued in Cook County. The Sheriff's Civil Process Division, which handles physical removals, has fewer than 100 deputies assigned. The result, a 6 to 8 month wait after your court victory before anyone shows up to remove the squatter. That's half a year of continued illegal occupation, backed by a court order that nobody enforces. Squatters know this, property managers know this, lawyers know this, and the system keeps grinding. One housing court judge, speaking off the record, admitted, "We issue orders knowing they won't be executed for months. It's demoralizing. The landlord wins in court and loses at home. Chicago PD won't touch eviction enforcement, period, even with the court order in hand. They'll tell you that's a sheriff matter." And the sheriff's office, understaffed and overwhelmed, operates on a strict first-come, first-served basis. No expedited process, no emergency exceptions. If you call asking when your eviction will be enforced, you'll get an automated callback with the date usually 6 to 9 months out. Meanwhile, the squatter remains. They know the timeline. Many set calendar reminders. In 2022, a Chicago alderman proposed an emergency eviction enforcement fund, extra deputies, faster processing, priority for owner-occupied homes. It was tabled in committee twice. Chicago's squatters are often veterans of the system. Some have been evicted 5, 6, even 10 times, and they know every stage of the process, down to the specific forms and filing deadlines. They typically target properties in transitional neighborhoods, areas with flipping activity, estate sales, or absentee landlords. Entry often happens via locksmith, yes. Some locksmiths don't ask questions or through unlocked doors and windows during open houses. Once inside, they file a mail forwarding request, get a utility bill in their name, and wait. When the owner shows up, They have proof of tenancy, and the owner has a 6-month problem. A Reddit user in our Chicago Lords described it this way: they know the sheriff won't come. They know I can't touch them. They sit there, smoking on my porch, waiting for me to offer cash. It's like being robbed in slow motion. And in many cases, they're right. Chicago's squatters operate with near impunity not because the law is on their side, but because enforcement is functionally non-existent. In the Pilsen neighborhood, a landlord named Maria inherited a 2-flat from her mother in 2021. She planned to live in one unit and rent the other, but when she arrived to begin renovations, someone was already there. A man mid-40s, calm, polite, answered the door. He said he'd been renting from the previous owner for 3 years. No lease, no canceled checks, just his word and a pile of mail with his name on it. Maria called the police. Civil matter. She filed an eviction court, served papers, appeared before a judge in February 22. She won. The judge issued an order of possession. Then came the wait. The sheriff's office gave her a date, October 2022, 8 months after her court victory. 8 more months of this man living in her mother's home, not paying rent, not paying utilities, not leaving. Maria offered for $1,000 cash. He wanted $12,000. She refused, so she waited. In October, deputies finally arrived. The man was gone, but so was the plumbing. He'd ripped out the copper pipes on his way out. Damage estimate, $27,000. Maria's legal fees, $11. Zero. Time lost, 14 months. I went in court, she told a local news station. But I lost everything else. Cash for keys is so common in Chicago that attorneys now include it as a line item in their eviction fee estimates. Squatters negotiate like they're selling a used car. They know the sheriff backlog. They know your legal costs. And they calculate exactly how much pain they can cause before you cave. One landlord told me, my lawyer said, you can wait 8 months and pay $15,000 in carrying costs, or you can pay the guy $6,000 today and get your building back. What would you do? The average payout in Cook County is now between $5,000 and $10. Zero, but contested cases with lawyers involved can run as high as $25,000. In Illinois, justice delayed is justice denied. And the denial lasts about 8 months. The courts work, the sheriff doesn't, and squatters have. Turn that gap into a business model. If you own property in Chicago, you don't just need a lawyer, you need a calendar, a therapist, and a very understanding bank. Winning in court means nothing if nobody shows up to enforce it. In Cook County, the deed is just paper, and patience is the only currency that matters. Think the sheriff backlog is bad? Wait until you see California, where squatters get jury trials and evictions cost more than some people's annual salary. Number 2. California. California has spent the last decade building the most tenant-friendly legal framework in America, and squatters. They've learned to wear the tenant costume perfectly. In the Golden State, a fake lease isn't fraud, it's a ticket to a jury trial, a year of free rent, and a payday at the end. In 2019, California passed Up 1482, the Tenant Protection Act. It capped rent increases, required just cause for evictions, and extended procedural protections to almost every residential occupant in the state. The problem, the law doesn't distinguish between a real tenant and someone who printed a lease off LegalZoom and broke into a vacant house. Once a person claims tenancy by presenting any document suggesting a rental agreement, they are entitled to the full eviction process under California Civil Code. That includes a 3-day notice to quit, contestable at 30 or 60-day notice depending on tenure. Also contestable an unlawful detainer lawsuit, which can take 45 to 90 days of potential jury trial if the tenant requests one. A 5-day appeal window after judgment. Total timeline, 8 to 14 months for a contested eviction. If the squatter knows the playbook, and many do, they can stretch that to 18 months or more. And here is the knife twist. California's COVID-era eviction protections created a backlog so severe that some counties still haven't recovered. In Los Angeles County, the average unlawful detainer case took 9.7 months to resolve in 2023, up from 4.2 months. Pre-pandemic, California law enforcement is almost entirely hands-off when it comes to occupancy disputes. LAPD, SFPD, and virtually every department in the state treats any he said, she said about tenancy as wait for it a civil matter. Even if you have the deed, the title, and the keys, officers will not remove someone who claims tenancy. They're trained not to. Liability concerns, union rules, and departmental policy have created a system where police serve as referees, not enforcers. One LAPD sergeant, speaking on background, said, "We're told to document and disengage. If someone shows us a lease, even a fake one, we can't verify it on scene. That's for a judge. So the homeowner leaves, the squatter stays, and the system lurches forward at the speed of bureaucracy." California's squatter ecosystem is a cottage industry. There are attorneys who specialize in defending occupants against eviction even when those occupants have no legal right to be there. There are online forums dedicated to identifying vacant properties, and there are tenants' rights organizations that, knowingly or not, provide legal cover to professional squatters. The typical California squatter is not a homeless person seeking shelter. They're often organized, tech-savvy, and legally informed. They target probate properties. Delayed legal ownership equals opportunity. Short-term rentals between bookings. Vacation homes, especially in rural areas. Houses listed as vacant on MLS entry is usually non-destructive and locked doors, pet doors. Garage entry via universal remotes. Once inside, they change the locks, file a mail redirect, and begin building their paper trail. Some bring their own lease templates complete with fake landlord signatures and rehearse stories about how they've been renting for months. One property manager in San Diego told me, "They knew my LLC's name, my registered agent, everything. The fake lease looked better than my real ones." In Riverside County, a retired firefighter named James owned a small rental property, a 2-bedroom house. He planned to sell in 2023 to fund his wife's medical treatment. He listed it. A buyer made an offer, the escrow opened, and then, 3 days before closing, a woman appeared at the property with 2 children and refused to leave. She claimed she had a lease with the property manager. No such person existed. The lease was typed in a different font than any document James had ever used. But it didn't matter. The police wouldn't remove her. The buyer backed out. Escrow collapsed. James filed for eviction. The woman requested a jury trial. 6 months later, they were still in discovery. She'd filed a counterclaim for habitability violations, alleging the house lacked adequate heating. The house she'd broken into. By the time the case was resolved, it was January 2024. The woman vacated voluntarily after James agreed to pay $12,000 in relocation assistance, a cash for keys deal brokered by her attorney. Total cost $53,000 in legal fees, carrying costs, and the settlement. The house sold for $40, zero less than the original offer. His wife's treatment was delayed by 8 months. "I fought fires for 30 years, James said. This was worse in California. Cash for keys isn't just common, it's economically rational. When evictions cost $50,000 or more and take 12 months, paying the squatter to leave is often the cheapest option. Attorneys now advise clients to make an offer before filing suit. Once you're in court, one told me, the meter's running. Every month is another $3,000 in carrying costs. Pay early, pay less." Average cash for keys settlements in California range from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on property value and how long the squatter is willing to hold out. Some squatters have attorneys on retainer not to win, but to delay. Time is money, your money. In California, squatters' rights aren't just protected, they're weaponized. A fake lease, a tearful story, and a request for a jury trial can turn a break-in into a 14-month occupation and a 5-figure payday. The Tenant Protection Act was meant to help renters. Instead, it created a legal shield that anyone, including criminals, can hide behind. And homeowners, they're expected to pay the bill. California doesn't just let the law protect the thief, it gives the thief a lawyer, a timeline, and a settlement check. You think that's insane? You haven't seen New York yet. The state where 30 days of illegal occupation makes you a legal tenant. And homeowners get arrested for trying to enter their own property. Number 1. New York City. If there's a capital of squatter insanity in America, it's New York City. This is where property rights go to die, where the law treats intruders like tenants, and where homeowners are arrested for changing their own locks. Welcome to the 30-day nightmare. New York Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law, or PAPL, contains one of the most exploited statutes in American real estate, the 30-day rule. Here is how it works. If someone occupies a residential property for 30 continuous days, regardless of how they got in, they are legally considered a tenant under New York law. Not a squatter, not a trespasser, a tenant entitled to the full protections of New York's housing court system. That means you cannot change the locks, you cannot shut off utilities, you cannot remove their belongings, you cannot enter without notice. If you do any of the above, you can be arrested for illegal eviction. The squatter files a complaint, the police show up, and suddenly, you're the criminal in your own home. This isn't hypothetical. It happens every month in New York City. Homeowners, documented owners with deeds, mortgages, and tax receipts have been arrested, charged, and prosecuted for trying to reclaim their own property. In 2023, the Queens District Attorney's Office opened 47 cases of illegal lockout, the majority involving homeowners who didn't realize they'd become landlords to strangers. New York cops don't just refuse to help, they actively enforce against the homeowner. Under NYPD protocol, any occupancy dispute lasting more than 30 days is a civil matter. But if the homeowner takes action, changes the locks, removes the squatter's property, shuts off the power, that's a criminal matter, and the homeowner becomes the defendant. One NYPD officer, interviewed anonymously by a local outlet, said, "I hate these calls. The owner's standing there crying, showing me the deed, and I have to tell them, I can't help you. And if you touch that lock, I'll have to arrest you. It's insane. The law is clear. The officer's hands are tied. And the squatter, they're inside watching TV legally protected. New York City's squatter underground is the most sophisticated in the country. These aren't opportunists, they're professionals. They operate in networks, sharing target addresses, legal scripts, and even locksmith contacts who specialize in residential entry. Many focus on distressed properties, homes and probate, houses belonging to elderly owners and nursing care, properties listed for estate sales. They monitor public records, attend open houses, and strike during transition periods when ownership is murky. Once inside, they establish residency fast. Mail forwarding takes 24 hours. Utility transfers take 48. Within a week, they have a paper trail and the 30-day clock is ticking. Some carry fake leases with predated signatures. Others have letters from fictional landlords. A few even file false reports of harassment against the actual owner, triggering restraining orders that keep the homeowner out while the squatter stays in. One Brooklyn property attorney told me, "We've seen squatters show up with folders thicker than our clients, annotated statutes, printed case law. They know the system better than half the lawyers in housing court." In April 2023, a woman named Adele Andaloro inherited a home in Flushing, Queens, a house her family had owned for decades. She planned to renovate and sell it. When she arrived to begin work, the locks had been changed. A man she'd never seen answered the door and told her, calmly, "This is my home now." Adele called the police. They reviewed the situation and told her, "He's been here more than 30 days. It's a civil matter." Adele, in tears, attempted to change the locks herself. The squatter called 911. Officers arrived and arrested Adele. She was charged with unlawful eviction under New York Real Property Law 135. The case went viral. News outlets covered it. Politicians tweeted about it. And still, the squatter remained in the house for months while Adele fought both criminal charges and a civil eviction case. The charges were eventually dismissed. The squatter eventually left after nearly a year and over $30,000 in legal costs. But the damage was done. The house, unsellable during the dispute, lost an estimated $80,000 in market value. "I got arrested for trying to enter my own property," Adele said in an interview. "And the person who broke in, he was the victim." That's New York. In New York, cash for keys is essentially mandatory. The courts are slow. The law is one-sided. And the squatter knows it. Evictions in NYC housing court take an average of 10 to 14 months, with some stretching past 2 years. Every month, the homeowner pays the mortgage, insurance, and taxes on a property they cannot enter. Squatters in NYC now demand $20,000 to $50,000 to leave voluntarily. And they get it, because fighting costs more. One Queens attorney told me, "I tell my clients, your options are bad and worse. Pay the ransom, or wait 2 years and pay more." Most pay. Some squatters even have agents, people who negotiate on their behalf, taking a percentage of the payout. It's a professionalized shakedown operating in plain sight, protected by law. In New York City, possession isn't 9/10 of the law. It's 100%. If someone stays in your property for 30 days invited, or not they own it, you're the trespasser now. The 30-day rule was meant to protect legitimate tenants from sudden displacement. Instead, it's become the most powerful weapon in the squatter's arsenal. Break and wait. Lawyer up. Get paid. New York doesn't just let the law protect the thief. It deputizes the thief as the rightful occupant and arrests the owner for objecting. If there's a better example of squatters' rights being homeowners' wrongs, I haven't found it. So what do you do? How do you protect yourself in a country where the law protects the people inside your house more than the people who own it? Here's the cynical realist survival guide. 1. Never leave a property vacant. Even a few weeks of emptiness is an invitation. Use occupancy sensors. Hire house sitters. List it for short-term rental while you figure out the long-term plan. 2. Install visible security. Cameras, alarms, motion-activated lights, not just to prevent entry, but to document it. Footage is evidence. Evidence is your only ally when the police shrug. 3. Check your property constantly. If someone gets inside and you don't notice for 30 days, you've already lost. Weekly inspections. Neighbor alerts. Smart locks that log every entry point. 4. Know your state's laws. Some states have passed squatter reform bills. Florida, for example, now allows faster removal. Others haven't. Know where you stand before you buy. And here's the uncomfortable truth. In 2026, leaving a house empty isn't just risky, it's financially suicidal. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as written. It's just not working for you. Squatters' rights are homeowners' wrongs. And until the law changes, possession will always be paper. Stay paranoid. Stay vigilant. And for the love of God, don't go on vacation. If you learned something, hit subscribe. Share this with anyone who owns property or thinks they do. And drop a comment. Have you dealt with squatters? How much did it cost you? I'll read everyone. This isn't financial or legal advice. It's a warning.